2 years ago, I was in this neighborhood and I went into a coffee shop. I sat down at a table near the wall, and there was a picture that was hanging on the wall, and the aesthetic was similar to what you would see for like one of those like CPR training pictures of image by image what to do if someone were choking. But this one was a little bit different. It actually gave instructions on what to do in order to realize that you were dreaming, and the steps to prod your mind into realizing that you were dreaming. And then once you realize you were dreaming, i.e. entering the lucid dream state, what you could then do to take advantage of the dream state. And it wasn't until the next day that I realized that in and of itself was a dream. And I think that moment is very emblematic about how much I am deeply fascinated by dreams, and in particular, accessing the lucid dream state. My name is Akpanoluo, and I have a deep and enduring love of all things pertaining to the brain. It goes back to when I was 7 and my grandmother suffered a stroke, and then she was ultimately diagnosed with Alzheimer's before she passed away. It continued into high school and through college when I studied neuroscience. And even post-college, even though I did not continue to study neuroscience, it has been the lens through which I interpret the world. It's the lens through which I gain a deeper understanding of myself, and it also helps me guide my conversations with others and helps me understand people at a very deep level. Moving back specifically to the topic of dreams, I'm sure that, like myself, a lot of you are curious what actually is the purpose of dreams. And of course, dreams are difficult to study because, unlike other states of mind, people aren't really awake to report what's going on, and it's difficult to conduct studies that are able to tease these sorts of things out. But a number of clever studies have been able to demonstrate some of the benefits of dreams. One of the interesting findings is that dreams actually have a therapeutic effect. There was one study that looked at the dreams that people had after they suffered a traumatic event in their lives, and the people who had dreams that incorporated aspects of that traumatic event into their dreams, they were actually able to recover significantly better than those who did not have dreams at all, or dreams that did not relate to those traumatic experiences. So there's evidence to show that having dreams soon after a traumatic event actually helps us process the emotions and helps us move forward. There are some other studies where they basically took advantage of the knowledge that if you are woken up during different phases of sleep, and I'll just divide it up simply into REM sleep, which is the state of our sleep where we're most likely to have dreams, versus non-REM sleep. You actually maintain some of that sleep state while you're immediately being woken up, and so they had a study where they would wake up people during the REM sleep, the dream-inducing sleep, and non-REM sleep, and during the night when they got woken up in those different stages, they would be given puzzles where they had to rearrange letters and express the single solution for how those letters could be arranged into a word. So, doing anagram puzzles. And they actually found that when people were woken up during REM sleep, the dream sleep, they were actually better able to solve these puzzles than the non-REM sleep, and even better than solving those puzzles while awake. So there's evidence to indicate that there is this sort of creative problem-solving force that is imbued in our dreams, which is really fascinating. And you know, growing up, I was not aware of those studies, but I did have an intuition around the problem-solving capabilities of dreams, because I would oftentimes wake up with answers to mathematical problems, you know, just coming out of a dream. And so when I became more familiar with dreams and how they work, as I studied neuroscience, I became really interested in being able to tap into the lucid dream state. And so I didn't learn about that from classes, but I just learned about it just out and about, having conversations with people and having conversations with people who do lucid dreams. And so a couple of the techniques that I learned about, you know, I would, you know, pick up an object and look at it and then, you know, turn it around. And as I would do that, the figure would become distorted. So I would start doing that while awake. And I would do that for a couple of days. And then as I would start doing that as I dreamt. And so I would do it, you know, while awake, start doing it while I'm sleeping. And I was like, oh, that changed. That's weird. And that's how I'd realize that I was dreaming. Another thing I learned to do was I would look at an object, I'd look away, and I'd look back at it, and it would become mangled and distorted. And so this was a pretty reliable way of being able to identify whether I'm awake or asleep. Now, I was able to enter lucid states, and, you know, I've been able to construct buildings with my mind, which is really cool. I've also had some experiences flying around a carousel once I realized I was in a lucid state. But the issue with the techniques that I'd picked up was that, you know, seeing these distortions kind of like freaked me out and would oftentimes wake me up. So if I look at this plant, I look away and it's this mangled thing, I'm like, and I'd wake up. And so just a couple of months ago, I mentioned this to a friend of mine, because I do often get into conversations about dreams, and she is an avid lucid dreamer and has been lucid dreaming extensively since childhood. And what she suggested that I do when that happened was to try to imagine a very happy scenario and try to invoke that as hard as I could. And so the next time that I became lucid and like I had that kind of like freak out moment, I invoked the idea of being on a beach in the morning as the sun was rising. And I wasn't able to fully conjure the beach, but what I was able to do was I was able to conjure the sun rising. And I was able to get past that initial like freak out moment. So basically where I'm at in my present lucid dream journey is I try to make the sunrise when it's dark. So I'm trying to do that right now. And hopefully one of these days soon, I will be able to invoke that in a dream. And maybe I'll be able to play around in the lucid dream state some more. So with that, I just want to leave you with the message that I think that you don't have to have studied neuroscience to be able to gain deep insights into how we think. I mean, neuroscientific studies are cool, but I think that we can all tap into our own personal understanding of the workings of the brain just by having conversations with others. And I think it's really cool, especially to have conversations about dreams. And I think that it's my conversations about dreams that have been able to move me along in my own personal lucid dream journey. And I'd encourage you all to give it a shot if you like. Thank you. Oh, yes. On a scale of 1 to 10, for someone who's never lucid dreamed before, how hard is it to lucid dream? I think that probably depends on a lot of different factors. I know that there are a lot of people who don't have that many dreams. And so if you're one of those people that doesn't have very many dreams, I think it's helpful to start a dream journal, because that'll get you to a position where you start actually appreciating that you do have these dreams. And also just kind of like setting your intention before going to sleep that you're going to remember your dreams, which can kind of help you, set your brain's context to recall your dreams. And I think that's getting yourself past that hump is part of it. And then I think beyond that, I think it's kind of like it's a matter of doing the weird things that would reveal to you whether you're dreaming or not. Like if I did this with the mic while I was sleeping, this would become like weird and mangled, and I'd kind of have that freak out moment, and I'd have to like calm myself down. And I guess it's also an appreciation that, you will have kind of this kind of like, you could have a kind of freak out moment like I do, and just kind of like being ready for that. But it's definitely not the stuff of nightmares. But it does get a little bit weird.